Hey yo, what is up FPG fam? Further here, and you know what time it is. It is tier list time. So if you're new to the channel, first and foremost, thank you for clicking on the video. I appreciate you being here. Go ahead and consider subscribing. Join the FPG family. We are on our way to 40k. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, what we do here is every time there's a brand new simulacrum that debuts, we do a tier list to see how they stack up against the other simulacras that we have in the game already. So I do hope you enjoyed today's video, and a few disclaimers because we are going to be doing things a little bit differently, taking your recommendation into consideration from my previous tier list. So previously we did tier lists with the simulacras at A0, just base foundational, what you will get when you get the actual character. But a lot of you suggested that I do these simulacras at advancements or with stars on them, and I think the way that I want to do this, because it's very difficult when we start to talk about stars, how many stars, everybody's different, everybody's account is different, and everybody's not a giga whale, so they can't get all the stars. A lot of players are free to play, light spenders, so it's difficult when we talk about stars. So I think the way that I want to do it is for limited simulacras like Frigg, Nemesis, Claudia, the ones that you have to obtain with the red nucleus. I'm going to do either A0 or A1, and then with the standard simulacras I'll probably do like A3 and above, because I believe that might be the most realistic way to go ahead and do it. A lot of these simulacras that are standard, you probably have a couple of stars on them. The limited ones, because they're free to play players and light spenders, you may only be able to get a copy or just get one in general. So I believe that's how we're going to do it. And for the ones that are 3-star and above, we'll talk about what I believe is their most preferred star to have on them, and then kind of tier it from there. It's going to be a little bit difficult. I know it's going to be controversial and very opinionated, and I know how you guys feel strongly about your opinions, but I'm going to do my best to try and give you the information that I have, give you my best opinion. And keep in mind, you clicked on this video because you want to get my preference and what I think about these characters and where they're tiered based off of my own opinion. And then you can take that in consideration and let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Just as long as you're being kind and respectful, that's all I ask for, right? That's all that really matters. Don't call me a clown. I really don't appreciate that. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. So what you see on your screen right now, I believe, is from my previous tier list where I had them at A0, and this is where I tiered them. We're going to be making some obvious adjustments here because now we're doing with stars, and some of these I didn't truly agree with just based off of, you know, what you guys were saying. And a lot of times I do these tier lists and then I see the comments and I see what you guys are saying, because some of you make some very valid points. Some of you are very knowledgeable about the game, and then I go back and I kind of reconsider and take your guys's recommendations into consideration. I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we're gonna definitely be making some adjustments here, starting with Frigg and Nemesis in the double S tier. I'm gonna leave them in the double S tier because they were in the double S tier based off of A0. If you add advancements A1, they stay in double S tier, right? I think that makes the most sense. But for those two in particular, I don't believe, and I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between the tier list and in-game, so that way you guys have an understanding of what advancement I'm talking about and things of that nature. So if we take a look at these two in particular, I don't believe you need advancements for them. And the reason being is because I believe their kit, the way it's put together, is very balanced, it's very synergistic, cohesive, and it works really well at A0 and makes them extremely viable, especially in their own team comps. But if you do get advancements, I think for both, A1 is where you would, you know, need to stop. I don't think you need to go beyond that for these simulacras in particular. So if we take a look at Frigg's A1, this is just going to increase your damage and allow you to do more things in terms of damage. So A1 is great. I would just stop there. But once again, A0 is fine with Frigg. Same with Nemesis. I don't believe you need advancements on Nemesis, but if you were to get any, I think A1's fine because it's just going to increase her healing. If you go any further than that, it's increasing damage, and I don't believe you need Nemesis to be a damage dealer per se. I think you're really having Nemesis out there to be able to buff the Volt team, have the Volt resonance, and to be able to do healing. You could use her for her skill and her backdash, but other than that, I don't think you're necessarily using her to do damage. She can do damage, but it's not what she's primarily there to do. She's primarily there to bolt. I keep saying bolt, to buff the Volt team, like your Samir, your Crow, and others that would come down the road, and really just to heal the team, to keep you topped up, so that way you're not dying. So both of these two simulacras at A0, A1, double S tier, I think they're fantastic. I think they're phenomenal. So let's go back to the tier list. So that is Frigg and Nemesis. I'm going to leave them in the double S tier. Now let's talk about Huma. Huma's very interesting because the thing about Huma, I was taking a look at her advancements, and A1 is actually what I would consider to be the most important one outside of A6. So if you're going to get advancements on Huma, it's either A1 and you're good to go, because I don't think A3 is all that great. A5 is actually nice, but it's nothing too crazy. But then you get to A6, and A6 is kind of nutty. Let me go ahead and go back here. Because if you take a look at A6, you have the enhanced conversion skills. So shield conversion enhancement increases damage dealt by 60% and expands the radius of the flame zone by 30%. That is incredible. And then the axe conversion enhancement does not share cooldown with the shield conversion. For the next 5 seconds after using the skill, turns all damage received into HP up to a maximum of 15% of the user's max HP. I think this A6 is incredible. So if we're talking about A1, which you can see A1 right here, I think this is great because it's a paragraph and a half. If we're talking about A1 for Huma, I think she stays in the S tier. But if we're talking about A6 for Huma, which I think is very reasonable to think that you can get, I believe even for free-to-play players, if you've been playing the game since the beginning, you can get at least one Simulacrum to A6. At least one. And for example, if you decided that to be Huma, let's say you got lucky pulling on the standard banner, you're getting stars for Huma, and then you use some of the flame gold to get more stars or advancements on Huma, and you got her to A6. At that point, paired with the flame resonance, so for example, paired with Ruby, I think she is double S tier with A6. No doubt in my mind, because that A6 is really good. Once again, pair with Ruby, you got the flame resonance. Ruby's great as well. And then you have a really solid team right there. And then you have Huma A6 is just phenomenal. So I think she is double S tier with the A6. But if we're talking about A1, then I would say S tier, solid S tier. But I did mention that we're looking at the standard at A3 and above. And I think if we're doing A3 and above, then you would definitely want her A6. And at A6, I consider her to be double S tier in my opinion. I think she's phenomenal at that point. So, and it's a shame that I don't have Huma. Now, the reason why I could speak about this is because I did use Huma on the closed test client due to the Ida Pioneer program. So I know what she's capable of. I just unfortunately don't have her on my own main account, which is just sad. I have not pulled a copy of Huma, if you can believe it. That's incredible. It's unfortunate. It's not incredible. It's actually unfortunate. So let's go ahead and move on. And let's talk about Meryl. So Meryl's very interesting too. I'm going to say that about all these simulacrums. But Meryl is very interesting because I think the A1 is probably the most important one to have. And the reason being is because it increases shatter by 15% and restores 10% of HP after shattering the target shield. Paired with Frigg, you are going through shields like hot knife through butter. I mentioned that before. Shields are not an issue when you pair Meryl with Frigg. And then once you break the shields, you're getting healing back. So because of that reason, you're not necessarily needing to run a healer, because then at that point, Meryl is your healer. And then you have Frigg, and then you can run another damage dealer like Tsubasa. That's why that team is so great. Once again, if you have Meryl at A1. But we are talking about these standard simulacrums above that at A3 and above. So if we take a look at A3, upon switching to the weapon, gain an ice shield equal to 10% of max HP. Cooldown of 20 seconds. That's really nice because now you're getting a shield, you're now getting increased shatter, and you're getting healing back. So this really makes Meryl a tank. Outside of that, we have A5 increases damage and shatter by 15% while the shield is active. This is actually pretty incredible. And then the 6-star just gives you a better shield. So if we talk about Meryl, I think the sweet spot would be A3 because then you get the shield, you get the HP restore, so you get healing, and then you get the shatter increase, and then paired with Frigg, that shatter is even better. She's doing more damage. So at A3, I think it's a sweet spot for Meryl, and I think at that point, she is a solid S tier. I don't think she then instantly becomes double S tier just because she grabs a shield. I think she stays a solid S tier, in my opinion. So that's where I'll go ahead and leave Meryl. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Tsubasa. And I'm going to go ahead and switch the screen for you once again. And here we go. Let me go ahead and switch here. So Tsubasa, much like the other ones, I think A1 is perfectly fine. And I think that's probably the most valuable. But if we take a look at A3, launching a dodge attack fires 3 charge arrows. I mean, that's fine. And then 5-star double duration of arrow rain and slow targets by 25%. And then A6, sharp arrow stacks up to 5 times. Hitting a target with a charged arrow immediately grants 3 stacks. Headshot grants 5 stacks. Which is really nice. I think that A5 is probably gonna be the most valuable after that. I don't think it's necessary per se. I think A1 is perfectly fine for Tsubasa, but we are talking about them being 3 stars and above. And if we talk about that, I think A5 is where you would want to be. And then at that point, I think she just stays a solid S tier, in my opinion. I don't think she really goes to double S tier because of that. I think she stays at a solid S tier for Tsubasa. Now let's go ahead and talk about Claudia. So moving on to Claudia, and Claudia with A1 is certainly, in my opinion, double S tier, because at that point she's then offering so much. So let's go ahead and take a look at Claudia at this time. So Claudia A1 is offering so much. So we'll go ahead and disregard the Grievous, even though that's coming into play. We have the physical resonance that she's bringing in her kit. She has immunity within her discharge. She has the damage reduction within her skill, and then she has a very low skill cooldown, meaning you're popping that all the time. And then at A1, she's buffing the team, meaning she can be on any team comp. She's a third flex option for any team. She's just phenomenal. I think A1 is where you would want to have Claudia. And then at A1, I think she's double S tier. I think she's fantastic because she can fit on any team comp. She becomes then viable, usable. You could put her anywhere. She becomes one of those simulacrums that you could just use with any team. And I think that's extremely valuable, and it has to be duly noted. So I would put her at the double S tier. And I think I'm going to go ahead and speed up because we are running a little long on time here. I don't want this to be too long. So let's go ahead and talk about Coco at this time. So Coco at A3 is actually pretty nice because you're debuffing the targets, the enemies. You're also increasing shatter and damage dealt for all teammates within range by 20% and grant them immunity, which is pretty incredible. Let me go ahead and switch the screen here. The A5 increases healing effect by 15% plus an additional 20%. But I think the A6 is really nice. Whenever a healing bee is summoned or disappears from battle, heal all allies for 100% of the user's attack. This is really nice because it's all allies, so you're having like a team-wide healed here, which is really great for co-op. But I think A3 is really good. Like if you were to ask me where you would need to stop for Coco, I think A3 would be perfectly fine because you're doing a lot here. A6 is really nice, but I don't think it's per se necessarily needed. So I'd say A3 is really good. And if we talk about A3, Coco on the tier list, I would, as a pure healer. And then she's doing some debuffing, and then she's increasing shatter and damage dealt. Yeah, I think A3 Coco then becomes S tier because then she's offering a lot. She's now not just only offering, you know, healing. Now she's increasing your damage, increasing shatter, granting them immunity, debuffing the target. Yeah, I would go ahead and then put Coco in the S tier at that point. Yeah, certainly. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Crow. So let's see. And Crow, unfortunately, is another one that I don't have. So let's go ahead. Oop, I didn't mean to scroll down there. I meant to scroll down here. Let's go ahead and switch over here. So Crow, if we take a look at A3, which I think is really nice, increases damage by 30% to targets with less than 60% HP. This actually works hand in hand with his Matricy set. So I think 3-star is perfect. But if you're asking me, I think A5 is really nice because triggering a back attack grants 100% crit chance for the next 4 seconds and increases crit damage by 50%. And then you have a cooldown of 10 seconds. This, paired with the Volt Resonance and a Volt team, I think is just incredible. Now, A6 is really nice after using a skill, increases Volt damage dealt to the target by 20% for 20 seconds, but I don't think it's necessarily needed. I think A5 is a really nice stopping point, or maybe preferred for Crow. And if that's the case at A5, because you're getting 100% crit chance and you're getting 50% increased crit damage, I think that makes Crow a phenomenal damage dealer, and I would put him in the S tier at that point because of that reason. So I would have Crow in the S tier at A5. Now let's go ahead and talk about King. King, for me, I think A1 is really nice for King, because you get the increased shatter by 15%, make him a better shield breaker, and then after shattering the target's shield, you deal burn damage equal to 120% of attack, so now you're doing even more damage. A3 is really nice because it increases damage dealt by 10% for each enemy, but what I find to be the best is his A5. I think A6 is decent, but not necessarily needed. A5 is really great because it increases damage dealt against HP shields or shielded enemies by 100%. This just makes King a top tier shield breaker at that point, what you want him to be. Even though Flame Team doesn't really need it, that's what you would want him to be. Paired with Ruby and Cobalt, or paired with you know, Claudia and Ruby, I think King is really, really good. I'm actually becoming a little more high on King in terms of what I think about him. And at that point at A5, I would put him in the S tier as well. I think he then becomes a phenomenal Simulacrum. So let's go ahead and talk about Samir at this time. So Samir, I think let's go ahead and take a look here. So if we go ahead and switch the scene, so we have the A1, which I think is really nice, of course, and then we have the A3, increases crit rate to electrified targets by 40%, electrical explosion, extends the duration. I think the A3 is the sweet spot. A5 is decent, A6 is decent, but I think A3 is all you would need to get Samir because of the increase in the crit rate, and then everything else that comes along with it. And because of that reason, I think Samir, once again, paired with Nemesis, becomes just she already is a phenomenal DPS, but I think she becomes even more of a phenomenal DPS, if that even makes sense. And I would then dare to put Samir in the S tier as well. I would dare to put her in the S tier. I would dare to put her in the S tier as well because of that reason. It's hard with these advancements in stars. I feel like all these simulacras are really, really good, are really, really strong. I find them to all be really strong. This is pretty difficult. I might bring King down to A+ tier just to kind of maybe even this out a little bit. Bring him down a little bit, maybe. All right, let's go ahead and talk about. We'll see. Let's go ahead and talk about Cobalt. Cobalt, I think, at once again a limited simulacrum, you want Cobalt at A3, but I know that's not realistic for everybody. So let's talk about A0 and A1. I just don't think she brings that much to the table. I really don't. I don't find her to be all that great. And I think the A1 is very, I mentioned this before, very negligible. I don't think it's anything special. And because of that reason, I had her in A+ tier, but yeah, I might move her down to A tier. No, I'll leave her in the A+ tier. I might move her down to the A tier. That's the thing. A0, A1 Cobalt, I just don't think is that great. I really don't think is that great. I'm gonna be honest. I really don't. A3 and above, she's great, but once again, she's limited. Not everybody can get it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put her in the A tier for right now. So let's go ahead and talk about Shiro. Now, obviously, everybody knows Shiro's A3 is where you would want to get her at because it increases shatter by 15% and resets all weapon skill cooldowns upon shattering the target shield. I think that's crazy incredible. Obviously, A5 is great, and A6 after using full bloom grant 100% crit chance for the next 8 seconds is really great. But I really think A3 is where you want to get Shiro, and you could stop there. And if that's the case, paired with Claudia, I think she becomes S tier. I think she becomes S tier at that point, because that is so valuable. She becomes a great shield breaker. She becomes a decent damage dealer. She resets the cooldown, so then you can do the skills again. Yeah, I think she's phenomenal. I think she's phenomenal with the A3. So I'm going to put her in the S tier. And then let's talk about Zero. So Zero is the last one we have to talk about on the list, and then we'll talk about Ruby. So let's go over to Zero. And for Zero, I think A5 is where you would really want to get them to, because at A5, you also get the damage orb. It produces the damage orb, which is really nice, because then it increases all damage and healing of any teammate who picks it up by 2% for 30 seconds. So I think then you're getting healing and increased damage dealing. And you could pair them in the, you know, with the flame resonance, pair them with Ruby, with King, with Huma. I think Zero then becomes actually really good. And then you get, you know, his shield, once again the healing, he could do some damage. At that point, I would put Zero probably in the A tier with Cobalt. I'm tempted to put Cobalt in the B tier. I'm not gonna do that because I know she has potential and she can be good. She could do damage. But I just don't really think too highly of her. But I would put then Zero probably in the A tier at that point. He's very good in co-op scenarios. So yeah. Yeah, I don't think I would have anybody in the B tier, to be honest with you. I think with stars and advancements, every Simulacra is A and above. A and above. But let's go ahead and talk about Ruby at this time. Okay. Ruby's fantastic. If you've been on the channel, you know how much I love this Simulacrum. I love her more than I thought I was going to be quite honest with you. A0, I think she's just phenomenal. So she has Shatter, she has Charge, she has Damage, she has Flame Resonant, she has CC capabilities. She just brings a lot of utility to the table at A0. And because of that reason, I don't think you need advancements. But if we take a look at the A1, this is just a damage spike and a reduction in the skill cooldown, which is fantastic. And really, I don't think you need to get advancements on her. But if you did get A1, she's phenomenal. A0, she's phenomenal. And for that reason, I would put Ruby in my opinion, the double S tier. I think she belongs in the double S tier. I think she's that good. I really do. I really think Ruby's that good. I think she is a core asset to the Flame team. I think she is one of the core members there, and I think she will be for quite some time. You have Lynn coming out, that's going to be slotted in there, and then Annabella down the road is going to be slotted in there, and then it's going to be Ruby, Annabella, Lynn probably. But right now, Ruby, Cobalt B, King, Ruby, King, Claudia. I mean, whoever you want to put in there. Ruby, Huma, Claudia, Ruby, Huma, King. It's just Ruby's a constant, and it's because she's that good. So yeah, I think this is where I'm gonna have it. I know I'm gonna have some very, very strong opinions on this one. Once again, just as long as you're kind, respectful, that's all that really matters. And once again, you clicked on this video for my preference, for my opinion, to know what I think, and then you take that into consideration, and then you can let me know what you guys think. But remember, you clicked on the video because you want to know what I think, my preference on it. So this is my preference, this is what I think, this is my opinion, and I always take into consideration what you guys have to say, and always make adjustments on the next tier list. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you. I know this was a long video, I do apologize. I hope to make the next one a little more quicker. That's not the right word. I'm gonna get out of here. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. My name is Cody, but you can call me further. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye guys.